Let's talk about a veteran defensive end being open to signing back with the Chiefs. Kadarius Toney trolling Giants fans in his own interesting way about his new Super Bowl ring. Travis Kelce responding to the Pat Who, That's Who back and forth between Jamar Chase and Patrick Mahomes, and much freaking more. But first, how about those? First up, in recent Chiefs player news, running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire was so inspired by the ring ceremony last week that I guess he decided to propose to his girlfriend, JoJo, I believe her name is. So, shout out to them and congrats. And no, I don't really think the ring ceremony inspired Clyde to propose, but it was funny timing to say the least. And the only question I have is, which ring was more expensive, the engagement ring or the Super Bowl ring? I'm going to assume the Super Bowl ring, even though that rock on her hand is massive. Either way, it's safe to say that I could definitely not afford either of them. And then the third go-round of Tight End University, started by George Kittle, Greg Olsen, aka Dexter the Serial Killer, or at least his twin brother, and you cannot tell me otherwise. And Travis Kelce is currently in full swing, taking place from June 20th through the 22nd in Nashville, Tennessee, and will feature around 75 tight ends. I spotted Jody Fortson in there, so shout out to him, and will include 3 days of learning from some of the best in the business, such as the 3 tight ends I just mentioned that started the entire event, as well as Rob Gronkowski, Jordan Reed, and more. The tight ends in attendance will also get some hands-on practice as well, catching passes from QBs like Josh Allen, Trey Lance, and Sam Darnold, among others, and it looks like it's impossible for Travis Kelce to stop getting W's. He got a ring, hosted SNL, has an awesome podcast with his brother, and most recently being awarded the Tight End University 2023 Player of the Year.
I led the league in drops. I can't really block well, but you know what? I have a lot of fun playing the tight end position, man. I do. I love it, and this is quite the honor.
However, we all know he's the best in the game and is just being humble about it. And speaking of the best, we're going to take a look at Kelce's own response to the Jamar Chase Pat Who comment, brag about the continued greatness of Mahomes, as well as take a look at Toney trolling Giants fans about his new ring. But first, I got to thank today's sponsor, Factor. Most of you, just like me, live busy lives, and the time it takes you to prep fresh meals, especially for lunch, is not easy when you have to rush to your next meeting, take care of the kids, or make your next YouTube video. And this is why Factor is so clutch for me personally. I'm constantly running upstairs for a quick lunch in between edits and trying to eat a salad or something clean, but sometimes the process just takes forever. Well, Factor helps make my nutritional goals easier than ever by delivering fresh, never frozen, dietitian approved meals right to my doorstep, and all I have to do is take one of their meals out of the fridge, put it in the microwave for 2 minutes, and boom, lunch is ready. I opted for the keto meals this go round because I lost over 40 pounds in 2020, and I'm trying to keep that dad bod weight off, if you know what I mean, especially for the summer. But there's also Calorie Smart, Chef's Choice, Protein Plus, and vegan and veggie meals with over 34 weekly options that are updated every single week to help keep things different and fresh. One of my most recent favorite meals was the spicy jalapeno beef bowl, and honestly, I could probably have eaten 3 of them. They were so good. And on top of that, I really enjoyed the delicious smoothies to drink if I wanted something extra, especially on these warm summer days. And if you want to have great meals like this one, save time on grocery trips and cooking, as well as money, Factor is cheaper than takeout, by the way. Just head over to factor75.com or click the link below and use code HBTC50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. Again, just head over to factor75.com or click the link below and use code HBTC50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. Well, that sure made me hungry because I haven't eaten lunch yet, but the show must go on. Next up, Jeff Fetterton of Forbes.com recently sat down for what I'm pretty sure was an exclusive interview with Super Bowl champion and current free agent defensive end Carlos Dunlap, who won his first ever playoff game and first Super Bowl in the same season with the Chiefs last year. And even though he's now 34 years old, he's still confident that he has gas left in the tank, aka has what it takes and wants to return to play for another season. I mean, 34 years old isn't that old, right? It's a similar age to Travis Kelce, so Anyway, in this interview, Carlos said, "I can help another team get one of their own or help the Chiefs win again. The Chiefs haven't ruled that out, but currently it's a waiting game." And Carlos later said in this interview, "The Chiefs obviously have a special spot for me because they were the first first team to help me win a playoff game and to win a Super Bowl, so that would be a great opportunity to return there. And I personally would enjoy seeing Carlos Dunlap return, though he didn't sign with the team until late July for the 2022 season, and that is around I would expect him to sign somewhere else this year as well. He would be a cheap addition they could add to the roster after a Chris Jones extension when they have actual money again. And though Dunlap said there's a couple of teams that have reached out, he's yet to receive a specific offer from anyone. And I guess that's where I want to get your thoughts on the situation, guys, about Carlos Dunlap returning to Kansas City. Do you like that idea or nah? I mean, he willingly took a lesser role last season, only technically starting in 2 games and playing fewer than 50% of snaps in over half the games, but he had 8 passes defensed, 4 sacks, which brought him to 100 career sacks, by the way, so hats off to you for that, and was a great resource and mentor for the younger guys on the O-line, as well as a dependable rotational depth piece to work in. He also knows the system, is confident playing underneath Joe Cullen and alongside players like Chris Jones and George Karlaftis, and especially now that Frank Clark signed with the freaking Broncos, he's one of the better remaining free agent options still available at the moment. Don't get me wrong, though, there's others out there. You got Justin Houston, Robert Quinn, Yannick Ngakoue, Jadeveon Clowney, among others that could have already potentially caught Casey's eye, though some of those players may not want to return like this guy, and some may not be the best fit. So yeah, Carlos isn't the only option, but I certainly do think the return of Dunlap would be a great one for me, personally at least. And speaking of things that are personal, or at least seem personal, Kadarius Toney was recently spotted in ATL at a jewelry store known as Icebox Diamonds and Watches to get some custom Joker pieces made. And man, I cannot even fathom what it would be like to have money with the ability to buy pieces of jewelry that are tens of thousands of dollars like this without a second thought. But that's not the point of this. The point of this is Kadarius Toney was actually featured on their large YouTube channel, like 2 million subs, while shopping out there. And he had quite the petty message, to say the least, for New York Giants fans for when he got a hold of his Super Bowl ring.
I got the Super Bowl ring coming in this ring right here. Everybody in New York right here. And this for everybody in New York right here. Hey, look, it's right here. It come right here though.
Well, holy smokes, KT, you ain't got to do New York like that, do ya? I mean, I get it. He wasn't happy in New York, didn't fit well there from what I gathered on the team, yes, but also with the fans. And he's beyond elated to be here in Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes and company, and is definitely happy he got himself a Super Bowl ring. However, though I think what he did was unnecessary, I think part of this is his own sense of humor and how he operates. Like Dwayne Johnson does stuff like that all the time, just randomly like flips people off. To some people, this is not a big deal. And to kind of prove that point, this seems to be nothing serious for Toney, as he goes on to say he's just trolling around and enjoys simply trolling back at Giants fans who love to troll him.
When do you get your Super Bowl ring?
June 15th. Y'all be tuned in. I might be viral somewhere. I'm gonna go to the middle of New York with them middle finger up. Hey, look, I love trolling. They be trying to troll me. I got some phone.
And then, of course, some Giants fans were not happy about this, saying that Kadarius Toney did not really do anything to help contribute to Kansas City's Super Bowl win in any real way, so he needs to shut his mouth. But I think they missed the fact that he scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl, then returned the longest punt in Super Bowl history, and though his overall snap count wasn't the highest because he was traded for halfway through the season and still battled through some injuries upon his arrival, which proves he wasn't faking his injury in New York, I might add. He was still clearly effective and valued when on the field. Not only did he quickly earn the trust of Mahomes, but made magic happen at times, accumulating nearly 300 yards from scrimmage, 4 touchdowns, and 200 return yards. That's if you look at regular and postseason stats with KC in 2022. On top of that, in 85 total pass routes he ran with KC last season, he was targeted on 31.8% of those routes, which led the team. So to say he has no contribution and didn't help the Chiefs last year in any real way is definitely a bit of a stretch, like Pilates, though I know Chiefs fans are hoping for more from him this season and that he stays healthy. Anyway, you got to let me know your thoughts on the offseason craziness right there from Kadarius Toney. Was it too far? Was it petty? Or yes, it was too far and petty, but we don't really care because Giants fans can hold this L. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments down below, and let's move on to the
next bold topic. We got Chiefs beef.
That's right. On today's episode of the New Heights podcast, Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce weighed in on the Jamar Chase Pat Who comment, as well as Pat's response, and he basically told it like it was.
I mean, I thought it was a little bold, you know? So the guy's a 2-time league MVP, 2-time Super Bowl MVP. To say Pat Who is like...
A little disrespectful.
Even Jason knew that it came off as a little disrespectful. I mean, I don't personally care that Jamar is going to ride for his QB and say he's the best in the biz. Zero problem with that It may not be true, but I take zero offense to it. But it's a little much to pretend he doesn't even know who Patrick Mahomes is.
What the hell is wrong with you, boy?
Then, of course, they talked about Patrick's low-key, simple, yet savage response, and Travis also had a few words for Jamar as well.
Shout out to Pat for holding it down. I mean, who doesn't love a good locker room banter?
Yeah.
Everybody just, putting...
Little trash talk.
Throwing a little bulletin board material up there. Shout out to Jamar Chase for, holding it down for his QB, but don't you ever disrespect Pat Mahomes now. If you want to talk your shit, pimp. Just better back it up.
If you want to run your mouth, you better back it up, i.e., y'all just came off an AFC championship loss and we won another Super Bowl, so basically...
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Hey, we get it though. The Bengals have won a couple regular season games against KC, so great job for those regular season wins and being 1-1 against KC when it matters. Okay, in all seriousness, this is just some fun off-season back and forth banter between two rivals that will have many more battles in the years to come. So much respect to them at the end of the day. Just don't disrespect Pat Mahomes. And you know what else is going to be fun to watch in the years to come? The greatness of Patrick Mahomes as well as Travis Kelce as they continue to pull ahead from the pack and pile up more postseason wins and accolades and hopefully Super Bowl rings. For example, here's a fun one. Did you know that Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are only one postseason touchdown behind Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski despite playing together for 4 less seasons? That's right. Pat and Trav have 14 postseason TD connections in 5 seasons, and Tom and Gronk have 15 postseason TDs in 9 seasons, which is pretty wild to think about. I think it's safe to assume that Pat and Trav will pass that up next postseason, if they make it there, which they've made it like 8 years in a row, so they should keep going and keep winning. On top of that, so far in NFL history, there's only been 3 QBs ever to win at least 2 league MVPs, 2 Super Bowl rings, as well as 2 Super Bowl MVPs, and those 3 quarterbacks are Joe Montana, Tom Brady, and Patrick Mahomes. And the craziest part to me about all this is Montana did not achieve this feat until he was 34. It took Brady until age 33, but Mahomes, he did this by age 27. We are certainly, without a doubt, in the golden era of Chiefs Kingdom after so many years of heartbreak, and I love it, for one, and second, simply cannot wait for the 2023 season to get here. So hurry up. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those